Dan, I guess just initial thoughts. You found out, who you're playing and what side of the bracket you're in.
Yeah, excited. I think there's just a general energy right now where I think the players feel good about where the team's at, confident with our capacity and our capability. We haven't necessarily had the results to prove that we're the defending conference champions or the conference tournament winners, but I think there's still a ton of confidence in what we're capable of, and I think just looking forward to another opportunity to prove that, and now obviously to play for the big one. So excited to get started on Thursday. I've seen a little, not a lot of St. John's, so there'll be some work we'll have to do tonight to get prepared, but happy to get started, and obviously should we advance, we have a familiar foe in High Point, and I know there was a lot we did right in that game, a lot we did wrong in the first half, so someone that we're familiar with and someone that I think that the players will be confident that we can overcome that game as well, but obviously we can't let past St. John's.
Is there a lot of nervous energy from last Wednesday to now where you're just waiting and waiting?
No, there's probably more nervous energy from me in the last 20 minutes just waiting for the name to come out than at any stage this season, quite honestly. So again, I think we were pretty realistic about what transpired this week with the game on, or last week, should I say, with the game against Marshall in the semi-final. Obviously, there's an initial disappointment, but then I think there's reflection to say, okay, we still feel like we're a really good team and still feel like we're really, really capable. We have to accept that that outcome probably prevented us from being a top 16 seeded team. And deal with the consequences. So we knew that we were going to be playing in the first round. We obviously expected to be a home game as well. And I quite like the idea that we get to play an opponent that we have familiarity with should we advance through the first round. So, like I said, I think there's more excitement and excitable energy than there is nervous energy at this stage.
So you said you've seen a little bit of St. John's. Was that scouting opponents you had on your regular season schedule? Good inkling?
Played Marshall earlier in the season, finished 2-2, I think. I think it is a very, very different game when you play at St. John's with the nature of their turf field. But outside of that, can't say I've seen a lot. We have some familiarity because Tristan Pusterhage's brother plays at St. John's, so he'll probably know more about them than I will at this point. But the initial reaction that Tristan gave us was he feels confident that we can overcome St. John's. So as I said, there'll be a lot of work between now and tomorrow morning when we present a scout on St. John's to make sure we've familiarised ourselves fully and we know what the game plan needs to be and we know what their strengths and weaknesses are. So the work is ahead of us and it's going to be a busy week.
How much can you utilise Tristan this week in the scout?
You can definitely tell me about his brother. We'll see. I think we will lean on it a little bit, just make sure there's nothing we've missed. But with respect, he's a very good centre-back, and we have a very qualified staff that will probably rely on our own eyes and what we see in the coming hours on film when we start to research them a little bit more. So he may help with a personnel or profile or two. And the soccer world is a small one. I'm sure there'll be other players that know someone from somewhere that plays at St. John's. So I'm sure people will be keen to give me information, but we'll do our due diligence as a staff and make sure we're well prepared.
What's the confidence level like now that you guys have had time to kind of rest after that? It was like back-to-back in preparation. Mm-hmm. How's the confidence level?
I think it's high. I think there's this feeling that we've been a little unfortunate to kind of arrive where we are, and we're excited that we have this opportunity and excited that we get a chance to perhaps really, really showcase and prove the level and caliber of team that we are. I've continued to feel as though we were the best team in the conference this year. I continue to feel as though we haven't necessarily played a team yet that we feel were substantially better than us. I think this is a really, really capable group, and I think they're excited to try and prove that and go on a deep tournament run now.
You obviously won't allow your players to look ahead, but from a staff perspective, when you're trying to do a quick turnaround to round two, if you're able to advance, how much does it help to have a familiar opponent in terms of getting the prep to the players? That'll help a little bit. That there's some work that's been done on High Point and kind of kept an eye on them as well during the season. Got an admiration for how Zach has done things there and how successful they've been this year as well. So they're absolutely a good team. I think we are too, and I think there was a real mutual respect at the end of that game that there were two good teams that were playing one another the right way that day. So I look forward to seeing him again, hopefully, and nothing would please me more to be in High Point this weekend and have a reason and an opportunity to compete against them one more time. So I do think it's slightly different because the nature of a turf facility that we'll have to go to and play at for the first time this year. If we can make that adjustment, then I think when you look at the level of the two teams, I don't think there's much to choose between the two of us. So we'll feel like we can get them.
I know this program and St. John's haven't played each other recently, but you played against them a number of times as a player. Any memories from those matchups?
Yes, playing in a conference tournament and winning 1-0 away. Devon McTavish goal in the Big East quarterfinals. I think it was. I can recall. I think it was actually my first game of college soccer was at St. John's my freshman year, and remember being pretty outmatched that day. So hopefully that's not the case going into this Thursday. But Dave Mazur, the coach there, has been there since then. He's probably got one of the longest standing Division I head coaches in the country, so very, very experienced and familiar with successful programs and successful teams. So I'm sure they'll be well prepared and really animated when they get here to play us.
Stats say you had the assist on that goal, by the way. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know that might not be one I can claim too much. I think I was on the dribble and borderline got dispossessed and it landed at Devon's feet and he did the rest. So I think that was one of those that was a little generous as an assist, but I'll take it.
The record is 3-10-2 against St. John's. You're gonna kind of use that as motivation for your guys in preparation?
No, I think with as long as it's been from the last time we played them, and you know what our record is this season, what our record has been in more recent years. I think we should, we're the host team for a reason with respect to St. John's. We're 20 places ahead of them in the RPI and deservedly a home team in the first round. So we'll use that to our advantage and we'll take confidence from the body of work we've done this season. And like I said, hopefully those factors play a role in our capacity to get over the line on Thursday.